Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Dzkan Toys, where I do reviews and share my thoughts on some of my favorite toy releases. Hope all of you guys are doing well. Today we have a Figma Jeanne to look at, and this one is Figma 451 Summer Jeanne or / Archer class Jeanne d'Arc. So let's check out the box. We have our box art and get the unboxing started. First, let's take a 360 view. Now that we had a 360 view of our lovely Figma for today, let's talk about the background information of the toy company and the character. In regards to the toy company, the Figma line is by Max Factory. They work closely with Good Smile Company in terms of distribution. The goal of Max Factory's Figma line is to create highly articulated palm-sized figure. Usually their focus is on anime characters, but they also do some gaming characters as well as some other real-life characters. As for our character, Jeanne d'Arc, she's a character from the mobile game known as Fate Grand Order by Type Moon and Aniplex. She also appeared in the anime known as Fate Apocrypha. I believe that anime is still on Netflix, so if you guys have Netflix and are interested, you guys can also check that out. It is then in the game Fate Grand Order, the player gets to summon different classes of servants in order to aid the player in fighting against evil and saving humanity. So it's a pretty cliche story, but that's the basic gist of it. Now, the Jeanne over here inside the game, originally she's actually ruler class, but the version that we see in front of us is the summer version that comes with a summer event in the game, and she is under the archer class. Originally, the character Jeanne, just like many servants inside the game Fate Grand Order, of course is based on real historical figures or inspired by them. So Jeanne over here is obviously inspired by Joan of Arc in real human history. Now, for the version that we see in front of us, the archer version, because she is a summer servant, that's why she is dressed ready to go to the beach. Now let's move on to the aesthetics and paint job of the figure. For the aesthetics of the figure, Figma usually does a very good job in terms of representing anime-like characters, and Jeanne over here is no different. This time we get Jeanne in her swimsuit version, which is basically in a bikini and in a jacket. Overall, she looks the part and represents her counterpart in the game or / anime very well. All of the facial expressions usually Figma nail perfectly, and they're known for doing good anime faces in their palm-sized figures. Furthermore, in terms of the aesthetics, Max Factory always do a good job in terms of the hair sculpt for different type of Figma Jeannes, and this one is no different. As we can see, the hair and the ponytail is nicely detailed, so that part I'm happy about. Moving on to the other details, in terms of the bikini, we also have this white floral type design pattern on it. So this is a nice touch and seems to be printed on. This way it doesn't look too plain. As for the jacket itself, we have a light bluish or almost teal color. And this color really reminds me of the summer vibe of going to a beach, which suits our summer Jeanne. Moving on to the bottom of the figure, for her legs, because she's wearing a bikini, they're basically in the skin color, but it's nice that we also have on one of her left legs and the design pattern, it seems to be in white. I'm not sure what you guys call that, but over here we have this nice design as well. Moving down to the shoes, over here Summer Jeanne is wearing heels, which have a very, again, summer-ish vibe to them. They're primarily white and brown in color. They give the figure some extra height, and they also have a small detail of a flower design on the front of the shoes. For the paintwork of this Figma Jeanne, overall again is near perfect. For many of the recent Max Factory release of their Figma line, I noticed that they definitely improved in their painting overall and the color separation. For the details that's printed on the figures, such as the bikini pattern on this Figma Jeanne, those are usually done perfectly because they are printed on. As for the actual paint itself, the major parts separation is done very well, but for the smaller lines, like many Figmas, there might be minor paint bleeding or minor paint defects. The only major paint defect, or actually it's pretty minor, but the only paint defect that's visible to me when looking closely at this Figma is on the shoes. When looking closely at the heels/sandals, the white lines and the brown paint separations, you can see the white paint going over a little tiny bit when looking very closely. Even looking very closely, it doesn't bother me too much. So overall, I would give this Figma a good rating in terms of the painting. Now let's move on to the articulation of Figma Jeanne. In terms of the head, we have a 360, forwards, backwards. Backwards is hindered by the ponytail design, so forwards is much better. In terms of the hair, we have a 360, also up and down. At the midsection, we have another 360. At the end, we also have a 360 rotation. Moving on to the arms of this Figma, we can go up like that, 360 rotation, elbow bend like that, wrist joints 360 and side to side depending on the angle. It's the typical Figma wrist joint. As for the waist articulation, surprisingly we do have a side to side. Originally I thought the Figma jacket for Jeanne over here is just one piece, but it's actually molded in two pieces, one upper and one bottom, which means there's a separation for the waist rotation. Although when you rotate it, the zipper alignment will not be aligned anymore, so that's something to note about. In terms of an ab crunch, forwards we have a little bit, but backwards there's barely any. This is probably due to the design of the jacket. Moving on to the leg articulation, because Jeanne is not wearing any pants, she's wearing a bikini and a jacket, we do have no hindrance for the leg articulation, so we have all the way up, all the way backwards, side, kick out like that. As for the knee articulation, we have a bend. Finally, for the ankle articulation, up, backwards, side to side, depending on the angle. So overall, articulation of Archer version of Jeanne is pretty decent. As for the accessories, we have quite a bit with this Figma release of Summer Jeanne/Archer Jeanne. Some of them are quite interesting. So let's first start with the faceplate. The one we see in front of us attached is a slightly happy face, slightly smiling face. We also have a sad or concerned face. Finally, we have a happy face, but this time her eyes are closed and her cheeks are also blushing. For the hands, we have two open palms, two closing fists, two holding or gripping hands, two alternative holding gripping hands. This one differs in its thumb position. Also, in some certain angles, you can use this hand for a thumbs up pose, I guess. One right side pegged hand. So this is for pegging her accessories, which I'll show you guys later. Finally, we have another unique right-sided hand. This one is flat or rounded surface at the palms. Most likely it is for holding the accessory that's included in the Figma. Now let's showcase the other accessories. First we have this beach volleyball. Let's try to put it on her hand through the peg. So there's actually a peg hole on one side of the volleyball. Just like that. We have Jeanne playing some summer beach volleyball. And for those of you who are fans of the game Fate Grand Order, you would know that she actually uses this beach volleyball for her attacks in the game. We also have this accessory, a life tube. This one is very nicely done. I really like this one. We have a floral pattern design on the life tube itself. They're in yellow, white, and a dark bluish color, while the whole thing is a bit clear and blue color. I like how they used clear plastic for this piece over here, because in real life, the life tube is usually clear and we blow air inside, right? So It makes sense. Again, there's a peg over here. We can peg it on her hand and let her hold the life tube. Like that. She looks like she's ready to go inside the water. And on a side note, the peg on the life tube as well as the volleyball also works with the peg of the Figma stand. We also have another summer beach accessory, which is a hula hoop in the white and then again the teal color in terms of the design. So we can put it over her like that in terms of posing, or of course if you swap the holding hand, you can make her hold it as well. So very nice summer accessories we have from this kit. Finally, we have her bag accessory. This one is mainly green with white stripes and a white rope like handle. So you can put it on her hand like that or over the shoulders like that on the elbows. There's some nice posing possibilities here. Here's a closer look at the bag. Yeah, so that's all of the major accessories covered. But in typical Figma fashion, every Figma we have the Figma stand over here, you guys can see. Also this clear plastic storage bag for storing the accessories. An extra peg for the wrist in case we break or lose one. Alright, now let's do some size comparisons. First, we have another Figma. This one is the Figma Jeanne Outer summer version or Berserker class. These two look pretty good together. Also in the game, they were from the same event. So if you're a fan of Jeanne, make sure you guys grab both of these. And if you're interested, I also have a review of Berserker Jeanne on my channel. You guys can check that out as well. We have a Mafex over here. Mafex Cyclops. So clearly taller than the Figma line, especially for female characters. Finally, let's show one more. SH Figuarts Sang Saga Gohan. Again, taller than our Figma Jeannes. Here's a bonus round for size comparison. We have our Fate Grand Order Master over here. Being male, he is slightly taller than the both female Jeannes. They look pretty good together. If you're a long-term Fate fan, this would be a pretty nice display to have. Alright, time for final thoughts on today's Figma 451 Archer Jeanne d'Arc. Overall, I did enjoy this release as Jeanne is one of my favorite characters. In terms of the sculpt work and paint work, Figma and Max Factory did a nice job on this release as well. Should you guys grab this Figma of Jeanne? It's really up to you guys. We have so many versions of Jeanne d'Arc in the Figma line in so many different types of outfits. So if one of them is your favorite, then go ahead and grab that one. If this one, for example, the summer version of Jeanne Archer class is your favorite, then I would say go ahead and grab this one. But then again, if you're a completionist for Jeanne d'Arc, like me, grab all of them, right? Anyways, there goes the end of my review. Hope all of you guys stay young at heart, and we're out.